basically just woke up in a bed full of cats once. This podcast contains topics and language that people may find offensive or triggering and may not be appropriate for younger listeners. We are not medical professionals and any advice should be taken on face value. Please consult your doctor if you have any issues, and please let it be known that all sexual activity should be context appropriate, consent appropriate, age appropriate and species appropriate. Anything else is fair game. Hello.
Hi.
Welcome again.
Hello,
Sorry.
we've done this.
Yeah, sorry. We forgot to press record on the video camera. Like an idiot. It's because we haven't got Martin here. Yes, today I'd like to talk about booze.
All right, okay.
Booze. Or alcohol. I have... Yeah, I guess I've had a bit of a problem with it for a while.
What, as in you drinking or dealing with other humans?
Well, this is it.
Okay.
So this is kind of it's going to be might be a long episode, might be a really short episode.
Yeah.
So I am fully aware that I drink too much.
Right. Okay.
Right, but I don't really drink to get drunk.
Yeah.
I drink to socialise.
Yeah.
And I'll have a few beers of an evening.
And being a musician as well, it comes part of the territory as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was wondering how. Well, I wanted to talk about how integral drinking is in having in sexual encounters, and how one might go about having sexual encounters without drink, because it's not something I'm really familiar with.
Okay. Yeah.
So go.
Yeah.
Tell me how to do it.
Okay, right. Well, my 20s was based around drinking and having confidence to go out and get out of my shell. That's always been a thing.
Yeah.
In my 20s for sure. As I got into my later part of my life, kind of into my 30s, going out and drinking as a woman, getting drunk, having sex, going home, waking up, and then having to do the walk of shame is no fun. It's actually really horrible.
Yeah.
And I don't know about other women, but when I'm drunk and I have sex, I don't orgasm. I just cannot orgasm at all because alcohol just numbs everything. So
Right.
you kind of like, you just go through the motions and it's fun and you're having a good night with somebody. But I've actually found not having a drink and actually having a good connection, a good chat with a guy, and then going home and then having sex, it's been way more fun. So having like a couple of drinks has been really nice, but being drunk and going back or just having sex with somebody, it doesn't really interest me anymore.
So, but how have you gone about that? So my, just for, I guess, for everyone's information. So I don't go to nightclubs or anything, but I will go and see live music. And I will go and see live music as often as I possibly can.
Yeah.
And those are the kind of places where I tend to meet people. And most of the time, it is just people have had a few drinks, and then it's a kind of, and I think I've mentioned this on previous episodes, where it's like I don't really need to drink, would you like to come back to mine? And they say, yes, of course, Dan, that would be the greatest thing in the world. And as we're walking out, I'll say, basically, like, should we get a drink on the way home, from the shop or whatever?
Yeah, like a couple of cans.
Yeah.
A couple of wine or something.
But I don't really need any more to drink.
So you were talking about, so when you go to the pub, that's where you go out. That's what I forgot. Like, that's as far as... So I will meet someone at a music venue. We'll start chatting. We'll have a few drinks, and then we'll go home and have sex, and everything's great. Yeah.
But I don't know how to not do that.
Is it because it's something that you've just done for such a long time? It's like breaking habits.
Well, I think so. So I don't have a problem with confidence particularly.
Yeah.
And I can be totally stone cold sober and ask someone to go and
have a
sex.
lovely time, and that's not a problem. Yeah.
But I've been really struggling recently with women feeling like they need to drink.
Okay.
So there's a friend of ours who's been trying to set me up with a few people for a while. Friends of his who he knows they're single, they have come out of long-term relationships. He's like, oh, go and have some fun. They are really into it, into the idea of it.
Mm-hmm.
They'll introduce, so I'll be chatting to them for the entire night, and the whole time they're just getting more and more drunk.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
And then it's like, oh, should we do shots? And it's like, well, you can do.
Yeah.
It's fine. And I might.
Yeah.
But I'm also much bigger than most people.
Women get drunker quicker than men. It's just a fact because of the way our
so
bodies
then
are made.
they start matching me drink for drink, then start doing shots, and they're like, oh, right, no, now I want a short. And it gets to the point where it's now 2-3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah. And they're too drunk, and you feel like as a guy taking a woman back who's quite drunk is actually taking advantage.
Well, I wouldn't do it.
Kind of, yeah.
So at that point, they've lost me. Completely.
Yeah.
And then they'll message me the next day and say, shame you had to leave last night.
Yeah.
It's like, well, didn't really.
Yeah.
But I just wasn't interested in taking you home because you were fucking steaming. Because you were
and you can't exactly say
drunk.
that to them as well because it's going to piss them off.
Well, no, and I have been doing recently.
Right, okay.
Not in a nasty way.
Yeah,
it's like, so if they've been at the point where they're like, oh, we're going off to another place.
Okay.
I'm like, oh, okay, well, I'll see you later.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, no, come with us. It's like, well, but you're just hammered now.
Yeah.
Like,
It's just about
I quite like you. You're a nice person, and all you seem to want to do is now just do loads of shots and get drunk.
Yeah.
You still seem to want to sleep with me.
Yeah.
But at this point,
it's going to be messy.
You're beyond that.
Yeah.
So
is it like trying like new? So I if I'm going for a date, I like to do something that is not going to get to that point of getting drunk because for me it's feeling safe. Like if I get too drunk, I'm going to say yes to things that I normally wouldn't say yes to if I was sober. So your inhibitions go down, don't they? And, so I always feel like I need to be in a safety zone. So I can't get too wasted. So going to the pub and playing a game of pool and then leaving it at that, great, but like, or doing something that involves not just being in a pub getting drunk, because it's easy to go and it's like, let's have a shot, let's have a good time, and then it's just game over, and I just wouldn't do that anymore now.
So I'm finding kind of the opposite.
Right. Okay.
Where I'll be sat down having a nice chat with somebody, and you can see that you can see where the night's going, and they feel like they need to drink more in order to be confident enough to then go home with somebody.
Yeah.
And I find that a bit weird. I don't like it, but it seems to affect, certainly affects their life more than it affects mine, because it just means that they're getting hammered too often.
That's a social pressure, I think, as well.
Yeah. But it's happened to me quite a lot recently.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
It's like, I feel like I need to get drunk to sleep with Dan because that's what he wants or something. I don't know. Or they need to kind of make it feel like they can feel guilty about it if they want later. I don't know. It's really, really weird.
Okay.
Because these aren't people I don't know.
Yeah. Okay.
And it's multiple people.
Yeah.
So
they're trying to match your drinking. Is that what you're feeling like? Like, because I know you as a person, and I know like you like to have a drink. We both like to have a drink.
Yeah.
And you can drink. So do you feel like they're trying to match you, like a competition, or is it not?
No. To me, it feels like, and I might be wrong.
Okay.
It feels like they want to have the greatest night possible.
Yeah. Okay. And they feel like alcohol will enhance that.
And they feel, yeah. Whereas actually they just kind of fall off a cliff at one point and then just can't really do anything.
Yeah. I just don't feel that I actually find myself more intelligent, and I feel more confident when I'm not drunk. When I find I've had like 3 beers, I can already feel my mental state starting to like, just like I'm slurring my words a bit. I'm, like I used to think when I was younger, I've got the confidence because I've got alcohol. Now I feel like it's reverted for me now. And I actually don't like to be drunk because then I'm like, I don't feel I'm as confident. It's a really strange thing, but that's for me has been an age thing. That's like now I'm in I've turned 40 now. So this is like been the transition from being from 20s into my 30s where I've noticed that. And I'm like, I actually don't want to be getting drunk anymore because it doesn't like, as in, and then going home with somebody because it just, for me, I wake up going, just feel a bit dirty really. I feel bad in myself. I feel like I've let myself down when I do that, whereas I want to wake up, remember everything we did and had a really good time. And then we can talk about what we did last night. Whereas if you've had too many drinks, you're like, what, did I actually say that? Did I say that? And then I start getting paranoid and I'm like, I don't know. Alcohol's
yeah, I guess, well, and actually, I guess it's that kind of, well, there's a few things I want to discuss. One of which is when what your limit is.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, and again, this comes across as arrogant, don't really have a problem with performing. Doesn't really matter how drunk I am.
Do you still really enjoy it though? Like, I mean, I'm sure you've had sex sober before.
Yeah.
So, sorry, have you?
Yeah.
So, if you had to compare the two, which one has been more enjoyable?
Oh, sober sex is definitely better.
Is it? Okay, right. Okay. Yeah, I totally agree. Your senses are so intact, whereas when you're drunk, your body's more numb.
Yeah.
It's just, yeah.
Yeah, and you can. There's no.
I think on the physical aspect, you can feel a lot more, and also mentally, you're more in tune with the person as well. Whereas when you're drunk, you both kind of have your thought processes are completely different. You're not completely in alignment with each other.
Yeah.
Because you are drunk. You're intoxicated. So,
but there is, but for me, there's definitely a sort of sweet spot of, and this is more to do with actually getting someone or reaching the point where you mutually want to have sex together.
And you're like, 3 drinks in and you're having a lovely time. It's like lovely buzz place.
Yes. So,
then you go home and have a lovely night and it's great.
But for me, that will be 7 drinks.
Yeah. Okay.
So, because I tend to, I don't know, I tend to space my drinking out very differently to most people.
Yeah. In England as well, we're like, it's almost like, the last bell's going to go at the pub or whatever you call it, and they're like 11 o'clock, so everyone's like, drink as quick as you can. We are a culture of that, so everyone always feels like that bell's going to go. I don't know why I'm calling it a bell.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean?
No, they ring bells.
Yeah, and it's, do you know what I mean? So we drink like very quickly it's part of the society that we're in.
Yeah.
That how much we drink.
But for me, it totally depends on where where I want to be in my intoxication as to how quickly I will drink.
Right. Okay.
So if I've had loads of food, like having loads of beer really quickly is just going to make me feel terrible.
Yeah.
So, but if I know that if I'm really, really hungry, then I'll drink too quickly.
Yeah, you'll be
therefore I stop myself from drinking quickly.
Yeah. So you know yourself, you know what your limits are.
Yeah,
That's what you're saying.
And I know that my sweet spot of having lowered inhibition plus, just lowered inhibition, isn't it really? Mm-hmm. Plus I'm not falling all over the place, is that sort of 4 to 8 pints. Mm-hmm. If anything after that is sort of a bit of a waste of time and money. Mm-hmm. Whereas I feel like the people that I'm interacting with don't really have that built-in switch of, am I still having a nice time? Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. They just think that more drink equals more nice times. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And I find that especially, well, first of all, it's not attractive.
Mm-hmm. On both sexes. as well.
Yeah.
Massively.
Yeah. I don't think it's any different for men or women.
Yeah. It's really unattractive.
Yeah. Well, there's been situations recently where some friends of ours have sort of started just going way too hard like, all the time. And they're still trying to have the same interactions with people, and everyone's just kind of just gone, you need to sort of sort that out, guys.
Yeah.
But it seems to be a real shame because always the people I really like.
That's annoying. That's annoying.
Yeah. So
rather than going to the pub and going to a gig to meet women, have you tried like dinner? Things like, all right, you've got food in their belly.
When do I ask someone if they want dinner? If I don't, because I don't meet people at work because I work from home.
Yeah.
I don't meet people in the studio because it's
studio you're on your own.
Well, and it's unprofessional.
Yeah. And you don't like social media, like Bumble, things like that.
Don't use social media at all. Dating apps are a total waste of time.
Okay, so you can still meet somebody. Okay, and you're like, okay, you're getting quite drunk. All right, fine, but I really like you. Shall we try and do dinner or doing something else? So you've met them that time. You've got their number.
I do meet women if I'm going climbing or going to I will see people at the gym.
Yeah.
But the awkward situation about that is I always feel like I'm invading someone's space if they don't come and talk to me.
Right. Yeah.
So I wouldn't go up to a girl in the gym wearing her skimpy gym wear.
Yeah.
And be like, all right, darling, want to go for dinner?
Well, if you say it like that, it's never going to work. But if you're like naturally climbing with them and you're getting on, it's like, hey, would you like a coffee sometime, like. Yeah,
I guess the problem with that is because I climb, because there's normally lots of people climbing there.
Yeah.
You can't just sort of separate someone off and go, look, actually I quite find like.
So you got to publicly ask them out.
Yeah, but you basically got to ask them out in the middle of everybody.
Maybe you should do it while you're gigging and actually say, oi, you in the crowd, you look really hot. A cup of coffee after this gig. I reckon that'd be like amazing if you did that.
Yeah. I think I pretty much have done that before as well once. But yeah. But it's definitely a really. I think for people who are listening, I think knowing that being drunk is just not attractive is quite important. It's quite an important thing to understand because and to a certain extent, I think one of the reasons why I probably get laid more than most of the other people that I know is because I'm not hammered. So you still
seem really grounded even when you've had 4 beers in you.
Yeah. In a group of people, there will be people sort of screaming and shouting, and actually, I'm like when they're over the limit, and actually, I will quite happily just sort of take myself off to normally a group of girls. Like, oh, do you mind if I sit with you? You seem like you're not totally fall over the place.
Yeah.
At which point they're like, well, who are you here with? It's like, well, I'm sort of with those drunken people over there.
Save me.
Save me. And then you get into a conversation and then things happen.
Yeah.
So actually, for viewers / listeners, I think being that person who is the slightly more sensible person, you can still have fun. I still, I'll still do shots and,
have a good night. Yeah, exactly.
But being that kind of falling over drunk person just isn't very attractive at all.
No, it's not. It's not. And for me, it's just going home drunk with anyone, guy or girl. It's just, and being that drunk, I just don't enjoy it. I don't feel in control of myself. And also, when you're in a pub or you're somewhere and you're in an environment that it's absolutely fine. You leave the building, you hit that fresh air, then you get to someone else's place and it's a completely different environment. You can change if you're not comfortable in that environment. So all is depending on your environment as well. And if you're in that intoxicated, it can go horribly wrong extremely quickly.
Yeah.
And it's just not fun to put yourself in that situation. I think I'm speaking on a woman's behalf here, on my experiences as well. When I was in my 20s, didn't care. I was everything's fun, everything's great, getting drunk's fun, but being in your 30s and, you know, it's just, it doesn't sit well as much anymore doing
No.
that. So it's all about having common ground with somebody, you know? So like, I want to meet somebody who likes doing the same things as me, you know? So if they're like a naturist, they're like going out for walks, they like fires, they like camping, they like going, you know, things like that. I'm like, that's great, because you can go off and do all those great things, go swim in a lake, things like that, and then sit by the fire, have a few beers, but you're doing something. It's like you're both, you know. So I just, it's the just getting drunk, you know, and then meeting somebody. I don't know. It just bores me.
And I guess the other really important thing is consent.
Massively.
So I had a situation this weekend actually where I end up with a threesome. Funny enough, go back to listen to our threesomes episode if you want to know how to do that. And two of us were, well, it was pretty much stone cold sober. The other one wasn't.
Okay. Well, were they quite drunk, or were they just a little bit tipsy?
Well, they hardly ever drink. Okay. So they'd had a couple of drinks, but they were more. I was a little bit uncomfortable.
Okay.
But I consistently asked her if she was okay with doing all this stuff. At which, you know, and she was like, yes, no, I'm fine. This is all good.
Yeah.
And then in the morning I was like, are you know,
have we had a great time?
Yeah. And she's like, yeah, no, I had a great time. That was lovely, thanks. But I could still tell that it wasn't. It's something that she's never done before as well.
Okay.
So I think she was a bit kind of nervous to start with, and then
is that why maybe she had a couple of drinks just to kind of feel like she needs to relax herself? Do you know what I mean?
Well, she didn't know until she'd had a couple of drinks that this was in somebody's mind. Okay, yeah. It actually wasn't in my mind until said somebody then went, oh, let's all go and do this now. Yeah. So and then I heard from her through same said friend that she'd felt a little bit guilty during the next day. Okay. But then I was as conscientious as I felt I could possibly be. She still seemed up for it. And she wasn't drunk. She certainly wasn't falling over drunk. She'd had like 2.5 drinks, I think. Yeah.
Just a change in her from like before the 2 drinks to after. She was like, "Ooh, a hell of a lot more. Hello, I'm awake." Or like, you know, for somebody who doesn't drink.
But she wasn't
drunk. That's all.
Yeah. If she'd been falling all over the place, then I absolutely I'd have just booked her a taxi home. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then when I had a foursome a few months ago, instigated by same said female partner. She's a listener, so hello. There was one girl involved in that also who came up to me afterwards, or a few days later, actually, or might have even been a couple of weeks later, and said that she's glad that so we spoke about the whole situation, and she was like, oh, I got to a point where I felt a bit uncomfortable and I felt like I'd been sort of coerced into something.
Oh, wow, okay.
And I was like, well, I remember as we were leaving to go back to the place where we were doing it.
Having a wonderful time.
Having a wonderful time. She was the one who seemed to be mostly up for it. And she's like, oh, who's the lucky guy then? When, you know, like, what are we going to do? And so I think she just got a bit more uncomfortable throughout the evening.
Okay.
But I could tell this when it was going on, because we were all having a lovely time. And then, you know, she went off to the bathroom and then sort of stayed in the kitchen. And then when she was called back by the other girls, it was kind of like, no, I'm not going to say what she said, but she said, no, I'm not particularly into this now.
Okay.
At which point they're like, no, come on. I'm like, no, you leave her alone.
If she said she's not sure, that's a no.
I have two beautiful women with me in this bed. Mm-hmm. I don't need any more than this.
Yeah.
And if she's not comfortable with this, then leave her alone.
Yeah.
Because people can change minds even when you've already been doing stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, of course.
So
I think that's the weird thing about consent. It's even when you can be during the act, during the point of having sex, you can still say no halfway through and go, you know what? I'm not okay with this. And you're like, okay, we'll stop. You know, that's exactly the same thing as before you even start doing it. The word no can come at any point. So, which I think is really important to note there.
And I've only ever had that a couple of times, maybe.
I've stopped halfway through a few times and gone, I'm not okay with this. I'm not enjoying myself.
The only time I've ever had it was a girl that actually genuinely just felt really ill.
Yeah. Okay.
So she, I spoke to her fairly recently actually, and this was a long time ago. And she was like, that time where I just suddenly felt really sick in the middle of, and I think it was just like a bad pint or a bad drink.
Yeah,
or
like
whatever.
Physically I'm going to throw up.
Yeah. So she was fine. Everything was fine.
Yeah.
And she still wants to meet up in the future. And, but that particular night, she just went, no.
Yeah.
And I went, oh, okay, right.
Yeah.
She's like, I'm going home now. It's like, okay, see you later. Bye.
That's the booze.
And I was like,
in.
I don't think it was. I think it was genuinely a bad pint. But, but I felt terrible afterwards because I was like, oh, is there something I've done or she wasn't happy with, or
just feeling a bit paranoid.
Yeah,
basically.
it wasn't that, and it wasn't that at all.
Yeah,
but yes, but you should always be able to stop right in the middle if someone tells you to
at any point. Yeah.
No matter how drunk you are, and you can't use drunkenness as an excuse ever. Yeah. It just doesn't work because whilst alcohol lowers your inhibitions, it doesn't stop you from doing things that are morally correct.
Yeah, not to drive when you're drunk. So it's the same thing, You're like, I'm drunk, I'm having a great night, I know I can't drink. Yeah. So it's the same thing. You can still make correct decisions when being absolutely drunk. Yeah. So you're so correct there.
And otherwise people just get drunk and start murdering people.
Well, exactly. I had blackouts, and there are people who have blackouts. And that's when you're like, you're an absolute drunk and you need to stop drinking.
Yes.
But we're not at that level.
No. We're definitely not.
Definitely nowhere near that.
But then some people are.
Yeah.
Some people just don't remember.
Yeah, which is really scary. Yeah.
I've had my moments with that. So.
But have you had those moments when meeting someone and waking up the next day going, I've had sex, but I can't remember it?
Not for a long time.
Yeah, I don't think...
I have had that before.
Yeah.
And even then, apparently, I was able to perform.
Good for you. I've done that.
I woke up in basically just woke up in a bed full of cats once. I think I was in my early 20s at the time, and I'd just gone out and got
There were humans here before. Why are there
blackout
cats?
drunk. Yeah.
I've turned you into cats. Okay.
But there was literally like 15 cats in there. It stank in there. Like I didn't find the woman attractive at all. Like,
so she was a cat lady.
Yeah. I say I was in my early 20s. She was probably in her late 40s or 50s. Yeah, surrounded by cats. It was, and that might have been the last time actually. When I just went, you don't want to do that again. No, I'll still drink too much to the point where the night can get a bit hazy, but then even then, I will talk to the people that were there, mostly staff, because I tend to frequent the same sort of places all the time. Yeah. So I know most of the staff, and I would consider a lot of them to be actual friends. Yeah. And I'll go and speak to them the next day and say, "Oh, was I all right last night?" And they're like, "Oh yeah, a little bit wavy," and then you just said bye and left, which is normally what I do anyway. I get to a point where I'll I'll assess my evening. And actually, I learned this from. I sort of did it anyway, but I learned this from the Adrian Charles, The Good Drinker.
Right, not heard of it, no.
So Adrian Charles is a British TV presenter. Did the One Show, and he was did sports presenting for years and years and years. But he got to the point where he was basically told he was an alcoholic. Go and read the book. It's a great book. If you've got a problem drinking, go and read the book. It's a really good way of cutting down on drinking without necessarily giving up. Mm-hmm. But one of the tools he mentions is that for every drink that he has after his second pint, he basically says, is this pint going to enrich my life?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Am I here with...
Am I around good people? Am I actually in a good environment, having a good time? Or am I just here to get drunk now?
Yes.
Basically.
Yeah. And if the answer is, if I'm going to have this pint, is this, if having another pint going to enrich my life? Mm-hmm. If the answer is no, stop drinking. Mm-hmm. Have a soft drink or something else.
Cup of tea always works for me.
Well, it's difficult. It's difficult in a pub generally. Having a cup of tea, we should close down the coffee machine by the time I'm at that point.
Go ahead, have a cup of tea.
So, and is there anyone that actually? I'm quite a sexual person anyway, so my goal of any evening is generally to try and have sex with somebody, whether I know them or whether it's a new person. I consider that to be the icing on the cake of a. Actually, no, it's the cake of most of my social life. The icing on the cake is all of the other stuff that happens. The
cherry on top, which has got amazing laundry. Oh, great.
We'll talk about that in another episode.
Okay, all right, yeah, sweet.
Because, spoiler alert, don't fucking care what your underwear looks like.
Really? Love sexy underwear.
Right, so we'll come back.
But I feel more for me. Anyway, that's another conversation.
Yeah, so we'll come back to that in another one.
Okay, all right. Yeah, you just want butt naked.
yeah, basically. So, unless it's sort of situational.
Okay.
So if you're like quick, like pull her knickers aside, whatever, then underwear's fine. But then you're generally in a sort of clothed situation. Mm-hmm. Anyway, we'll come back to that in another episode. Click the subscribe whatever and the bell and the comment for the algorithms and whatever. We'll talk about lingerie. Yeah. So you're in a pub and you're...
Cup of tea, that's what I was saying. And you were like, no, can't have a cup of tea. So you're like, okay.
So the point is, if you look around the room, if there's 100 guys and one girl who's with her boyfriend, you're not getting lucky. Mm-hmm. You're just not going to that night. Mm-hmm. So you could try and go somewhere else. You could chase the night, which will probably make you into a bit of alcoholic after a while.
Basically,
because if you just... Because you'll end up in nightclubs and then strip clubs and you're just wasting your money at that point in time. Basically. You're not going to get laid. Mm-hmm. So go home, get some sleep and go out again on another day. Yeah. Or, go to karaoke bars because that's where loads of women are. Mm-hmm.
Can I ask though, when you go out for a night out, are you going out to get laid?
No.
Oh, yeah. Okay, good. Because I feel like if you go out with that intention, like I need to get laid, this is why I'm going out. I feel like that's a massive recipe for disaster. Do you know what I mean? It's like you want to go out to see your friends, have a really good time. If you get laid, absolute bonus. But do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess I'm and I hope this doesn't offend anybody. So I have a few people, but then I'm sort of that person to them as well. So
yeah. You've got like friends with benefits now, kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't even really call it that. That feels a bit nasty to me. It makes it sound like you're using each other.
Yeah.
Which I mean, you are having sexual intercourse together,
but you're giving each other a benefit.
I
suppose the word's a bit tacky. I suppose in that sense,
feels a bit tacky.
Yeah. So but it's not an open relationship though.
No, I'm not.
So what would you call it?
I don't know. It's just
Really
nice people that you like having sex with, who are also friends.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, we'll have to come up with a new term.
It's weird because it's almost close to polyamory, but it's not quite that. Because polyamorous is like you're in a relationship, you deeply care for each other, you're growing a bond together, but you have multiple of these.
Yeah.
So you're almost doing it at the very early stages of polyamorous. You're not actually polyamorous, but if you had to continue these lines of friendships and keep doing that, you're going to actually get really close to each other because you're spending. No.
I mean, we're sort of going a bit off subject now, but because we can go into sort of polyamory and styles of relationships in another one, I think.
Okay. Cool. Let's go back to
we haven't actually done that.
Okay.
But so and my situation is that there's some that are quite close proximate wise, but they don't have much free time. Right, so we might sleep together once a week.
Yeah. Or
twice a week or whatever. And then there's others that might phone me up once or twice a year.
Right, okay.
And then others that are just, who might even be ex-girlfriends, who might phone me up and say, oh, I haven't had sex with you in 10 years. Are you available?
Yeah, okay.
And all of that's fine to the point where I don't ever feel desperate, ever. Like if I really, really feeling really horny, the worst I've got to do is wait 48 hours. And I can masturbate or have self-sex. So I'm never chasing an evening.
Yeah.
And I think that's really important.
Yeah.
Also in not being an alcoholic. Because you tend to find that alcoholics have one good experience, get laid, and then they just spend every day trying to repeat that in the same pub, thinking that the same person's going to come back in and do that. I see that all the time. I've run bars and things before, so you see it a lot. So no, like I guess it affords me the not chasing someone around who is drunk.
Yeah.
Because I thought we had something else. We had something going 2 hours ago.
Yeah.
And that now you're drunk.
Yeah.
And now you want me to go to another place to drink with you, knowing full well that if we even did end up having sex, then we end up in the situation you were talking about earlier, where everyone's kind of a bit numb and it was all rubbish anyway.
Yeah.
At which point, nobody's performing very well, and then nobody wants to do it again. So I guess the goal in most of my sexual experiences is to want someone to come back.
Yeah. I think also when you're drunk as well, I don't know if it's the same for a girl, it might be, but like someone gives you attention, that attention makes you go, oh, they obviously really like me. So then you get drunk and then you're looking for them. Like that person gave me attention, that was really nice. And then you are chasing that person for the rest of the evening. Yeah. Which is, you wouldn't do that sober. But because you've got alcohol in you, you're now chasing that feeling. Yes. So it's an attention.
But I get, and I can see it a mile off.
Yeah.
And so I get that all the time.
Yeah.
And to the point where I have to kind of push people away.
I find it really difficult to know how to push away because I don't want to be rude to people. So if I'm getting drunk, or if I've done a gig, for instance, and I've come off stage, and then I can see guys that like me, and they come and talk to me, I don't know how to manage that very well. And it's learning how to like put those boundaries in, where I can be like, I'm just going to go and speak to a friend. I don't know how to say to them, can you please stop talking to me because you're actually invading my space? Because some guys are like, you're incredible. Let me get your number. I need to get on Facebook. And it's like, I don't know if you get it too, like being a musician. I don't know if that like...
Not so much, because of the nature of my music. It's all dudes.
Yeah. Anger.
Yeah. You do get it. Like you certainly get it if you're touring for some reason. For some reason, if you're on tour, it feels like a more people feel like you're more available to them.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're just playing a one-off show, you're sort of loading things in, playing the show, loading things out. By the time you actually get to actually have a drink and sit down, everyone's gone anyway.
Yeah.
But but I absolutely see it in even in the pub that we frequent quite frequently. In that I'll be chatting to a girl. I'll be interested. She's then likes the attention.
Yeah.
Is also interested.
Yeah.
And then she'll get drunk.
Yeah.
Again, looking for that constant kind of like
attention.
Attention.
Yeah. Yeah.
I actually had a really weird one recently. Sort of nothing to do with drink, because I sort of know this person who did exactly that. And then she's getting more and more drunk. She's one of these. She's a night chaser as well.
Okay, yeah.
She won't stop drinking until the end of the night. If she's So, but she just started lying to me about stuff.
Oh, okay.
But it was really obvious.
Yeah.
Like
what was she saying?
Oh, just about things that she's been doing, like relationships she'd been in, people that she knows, and it's like.
She's just creating this alter ego of herself.
Yeah, but it was just really weird. Like
Yeah.
at one point, and when you have to push someone away,
Yeah.
it got to that point where I was like, oh, I'm going to go and sit downstairs for a bit because I'm cold or whatever.
Yeah, just make an excuse.
Made some
I'm
sort of
really
excuse.
bad at making excuses. Like, I need to go to the toilet. So I'm like, I almost feel like I have to be honest. I'm like, I just need you to step away. Like, no, Clay, you can just say, I'm going to the toilet.
Yeah.
Just go to the toilet.
Yeah.
You know, it's like,
I'm
I'm
just
far
gonna-
too honest for my own good. Like,
So I'm pretty good at that in terms of
make a gentle excuse
I'm just
and
gonna
walk away.
Yeah, I'm just going to pop inside for a bit.
Yeah.
And then just walk off.
Yeah, I don't know how to do that sometimes. I
And
just
then
want to go away.
Yeah.
Really nicely.
Yeah.
Piss off.
But yeah, said girl wouldn't stop.
Yeah. Okay.
To the point where I was just like, look, I'm going now.
Yeah.
Just walked off.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess what it comes down to is, well, what I really want to get to. So is a point where nobody has to have a drink to ask people out, to ask people if they want to have sex.
I feel like they need the confidence, and the only way they can get it is through alcohol.
Yeah. Because I'd love to be able to sit down with people who I find attractive. I guess the problem is the people who I tend to find attractive are generally quite shy.
Yeah, okay.
So
a little bit more introverted kind of thing. Because alcohol should be just an enhancer. So you should just be getting along sober, and that's how it should be. And then let's go have a nice time. Let's have a few drinks. And that should be the enhancer. I think meeting somebody when you're both intoxicated and starting on that basis is never really a good place to start. You know?
But
Not
again,
all the time.
I think it totally depends on the level of intoxication.
Yeah.
If you are drunk and you meet someone else and they're drunk, it's never going to work.
Mm-hmm.
Like it might work 1 in 1,000 times where you wake up in the morning and go, oh, actually, I'm madly in love with you.
Yeah.
And they go, oh, I'm madly in love with you too. Let's have a relationship forever. Like,
Let's get married tomorrow.
yeah.
Great.
Yeah, we all know how those work.
Yeah.
So,
great.
but when you're meeting someone who's had 3 drinks and you've had 3 drinks,
Yeah.
I don't think that's totally fine.
Yeah. Well, you don't, or you do?
I do.
Yeah.
I think it is that. Well, that is fine, and you can end up having beautiful relationships with those people.
Yeah.
But I would love to get to the point where I don't need even that.
Okay.
I'd love to get to the point where I'm, at the climbing gym, and and women feel confident enough to come up and go, hello,
Yeah.
let's find some climbs together, or I'm going to do this stupid hard one because I'm way better than you.
Yeah.
And then I'll encourage you to do that one.
So do you find sober, you wouldn't go up and speak to a girl and go, hey, can I get your number? Or are you feeling that
I was feeling
women don't do that. They don't have the confidence
Well,
to do
both.
that. Yeah. Okay.
I think this is why everyone has sex drunk in this country.
Yeah. I totally agree. Agree.
It's because I wouldn't do it because I feel awkward because I'm, because I'm a foot taller than most women.
Mm-hmm.
I find I always feel like I don't want to be imposing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to be that guy who's, oh, mind if I, hello, darling, whatever. Because
you never talk like that.
No. But you see it, isn't it? Like,
yeah.
Oh, can I buy you a drink, love?
Yeah.
And even if I was, and I don't do that in the pub either. I don't tower over people.
No, not at all. No.
And you see people
You're
doing
very
that.
gentlemanly. You're actually very.
But this is it, and
that's why I'm doing this talk show with you, because I know
well,
you're a sound human being. So otherwise, I wouldn't be doing this.
But I find that people who can chat people up without drink
mm-hmm.
are the people I don't like very much, and that's a bit of a shame, isn't it?
Okay.
Because I know there's a particular guy that I'm thinking of, and there's many examples of this.
Yeah.
Who will quite happily just go up, start chatting to women, and then try and get their number and get all their socials and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And I can see women getting creeped out by it.
Right. Okay.
So I don't do it.
Yeah.
But then if I did that, how do I do it in a much more pleasant way?
Okay. All right. I'll give you an example. So I'm not. I think it's a slow burner when there's no alcohol involved. It's really it takes a while, And I think if you're not in a hurry and you really like the person, and it's not just going to be, I want to have sexual relations with you, I see something more here. You put in the groundwork. So I go to a shop and I buy my e-cig from a certain shop, and there's a guy who works behind the counter, a really nice guy. And he keeps giving me lollipops. He's like, I know, because his card machine doesn't work very well, so it takes ages. So we have to do small talk for a bit,
Yeah.
And so we've been doing small talk for quite some time now. It's been going on for about 2 months now. And during the small talk, he's like, "Thank you for waiting. Here, have a lollipop." I'm like, "Oh, thanks. Cheers for the lollipop." And I'm a bit like, that's weird. But every time it's been a thing now. He keeps giving me a lollipop. Right. And the last time I've seen him, he's given me this massive lollipop. And he's like, is this ridiculous? I keep doing this. I'm like, it is, but I find it really endearing. I really like the fact you keep giving me lollipops. And I'm like, I'm waiting for the day he's going to go, "Can I have your number? Or would you go out for a coffee?" And I'll probably be like, "Yeah, go on then." Just because the interaction's been so genuinely quite sweet. And this has been a very sober interaction. And it's been going on for a while now, and it's absolutely lovely. It only goes on for about 4 minutes, but it's just been a slow build-up. There's been no alcohol involved. And he's actually quite sweet. And I've never really looked at him and gone, "I'm attracted to you." But over the time of him giving me these lollipops, I'm like, something really sweet about you.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So I know.
Yeah. So okay then. So that is a particular situation, but you're aiming for something long term. This podcast as a whole is about everything.
Yeah.
So I'm fully aware of how to end up in a long-term relationship with somebody without the use of alcohol. Like, you meet someone at work, you have some banter at work, becomes a bit sexual, and then you can, then you ask them out, and then you probably go for a drink, or you might even
so it's
not.
a slow burner of flirting to becoming a relationship, basically.
Yeah. But what if you do actually just want to have sex with somebody?
Trying to do that completely sober, basically.
Yeah.
I see what you mean.
Because I don't particularly want a relationship. I'm actually planning to to move abroad at some point. I don't know when. It'll be probably another couple of years. So I don't want to lead someone down that path of I'm going to be there forever.
Yeah.
So actually, really, I do only really want short-term relationships. And I'd be quite happy having a short-term relationship monogamously. Or it's much simpler for people if you just have one night stands. But how would you do a one night stand without alcohol? Could I be climbing with somebody and say, look, I don't really like you that much, but I really want to have sex with you?
Yeah, I don't know, because for me, one night stands is not something that I'm interested in. One night stands don't work for me. I like to be sleeping with people, but I don't want. So if there's a chance for a relationship in the future, fine. If there's not, that's fine. But either way, I absolutely enjoy having sex. But you should still be able to do that being sober, though.
Yeah.
You know, but I think when you're doing the one night stand, that's almost impossible without going to the pub. I think. I don't know. It's
weird, isn't it?
It is weird. Because one night stands, like at festivals, no, you could go to a festival sober, have a great time, and everyone's there having a great time. So it's like an adult-child playground. So people go there and they have a sober time at a festival and they let their hair down, and there's a lot of sex involved in it.
Yes.
You know? But it's because they've got no responsibilities and they're there to have a good time, you know? So I suppose it depends on environment. So environment of a pub is a good place to do it because there's alcohol involved, you're having a good time. Everyone's got their guards down. Same as I suppose like a festival as well. But one night stands, I don't know, Dan. I really don't know.
Yeah.
It's not something
I mean, I
don't
even really like calling them one night stands because who knows how many times you want to do it.
Yeah. I think meet and have sex for the first time, it's like, for me, it's, I'd like to get to know you a bit more and then.
But that's it. It feels to me like sober equals relationship and drunk equals somewhere between relationship and one night stand.
When really you want to be open and have a good time without having to actually say, okay, we're going to be in a relationship.
Yeah. And it seems the only place you can do that is like kink sites.
Yeah.
Which I looked into actually. I couldn't find the one that you mentioned.
What was it called?
FetLife one.
FetLife.
Yeah, I couldn't find an app that they did.
Okay, all right.
But found another one. Actually, I didn't join it. My one of my friends did.
Yeah.
And we were looking at people on that, and it is just all fetish people.
Yeah.
It's like, are you dominant or submissive? And it's like, well, neither of us are either. You know, like we don't want to get pissed on or you know, like spat at or you know, we're just not interested in any of that kind of stuff. We're just interested in having a casual sexual relationship. And as much as like Tinder is supposed to be that, or was originally supposed to be that, it just isn't. You know, every single profile I see on there is all looking for a long-term partner and they are monogamous. So that there's no, unless there's something I don't know, like some sort of dating app language that I'm unaware of, which is actually I'm up for some of this. Actually, I saw one today.
Okay. What
on Tinder.
Though? Okay.
It's literally the first time I've ever seen it ever.
Okay.
Where there was someone who was really honest on their profile and they said, for a one night stand, then I'm looking for, you know, drinks and whatever and some fun. For a short term relationship, this is what I want. Okay. And then for a long term relationship, I want, you know, monogamy and
oh wow,
whatever.
Okay. So they're like giving their options of like, if I was going to go for a full blown relationship, this is the kind of person I'm looking for.
Yeah.
Okay.
But you could fulfill any one of these three things.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And I thought that was really good. In fact, to the point where I might actually change my profile to be like, actually, like, if you're this kind of person, then I'll just want to have sex with you. Yeah. If you're this kind of person, then I'm up to something a bit longer. But actually, if you really, really want to get into a full blown, we're going to spend the rest of our lives together, you have to have all of these attributes.
Right. Okay. Yeah. That's really refreshing. I like that. Because for me, it's like, I'm open. I've done long relationships, and it's like, I know what it takes to be in a long-term relationship. And I'm like, I'm not prepared to give out that kind of my energy to that unless that person's worth it. So for me now, I'm like, I'm open. I'm open for the ride to have a good time. If it goes somewhere, fantastic. If it doesn't, fine. Either way, let's have a good time and explore sex in wonderful ways, basically. So that's kind of where I'm at with myself with that. But that's, it's, I don't know, it's difficult to navigate it with, because I think people change their opinions on what they want as well. So you can be like, okay, I don't want to be in a relationship. I want to be single and I just want to have a good time. And then once you meet somebody, you get into something with them, you're like, actually, I really like you now. So you change your mind. So at what point, you know, like, so what you want now is that just to have a good time and you're going to go traveling and that's it.
Well, but then if I met someone who also wanted to go traveling, who doesn't have the ties of, you know, children in schools and whatever, and they're also, some sort of professor of some, you know, like some sort of highly intelligent, also very active, maybe does some of the same sort of activities, climbing
and stuff and stuff like that.
You know, and has a vision for the future that I also subscribe to. Let's go and rescue dogs from Sri Lankan warlords. I don't know if Sri Lanka has warlords.
They do now,
but I hope so I can go and rescue doggies from them. Because that would be that's sort of where I see my future.
Okay.
Is, you know, going off and doing something sort of noble and exciting.
Yeah, and like passionate to your heart as well.
Yes,
which is
Yeah.
And that's awesome.
But preferably somewhere warmer than here.
Yeah, sure, it's a good place.
So if someone else had that vision, then I would entertain maybe that we would have the same vision for our long-term future. Yeah. But that's, you know, 0.001% of people.
Yeah.
So maybe I should change my thing. But yeah, I'm also, this has all sort of come about really, I'm just a bit bored of drinking. I sort of feel like I
feel dumber when I get drunk now. I actually don't feel like it enhances me. I like to have a drink with my mates and have a lovely time. But when it starts getting to that point where like, let's get really pissed, I'm like, you know?
Yeah.
I just don't, I don't get to a point
I'm the same. Changes.
Yeah.
I reserve the right to be drunk and having shots on a night where I'm really having a great time.
Exactly.
But most of the time, I just want to be around, good friends, conversation, sit around a table where everyone's contributing to the conversation.
Yeah, exactly.
And no one's, you know,
taking over the conversation.
Yeah.
I really hate that so much.
Yeah.
And you're just like, you're not listening. You just want to be heard now. And
Yeah.
And that happens with alcohol quite a lot, unfortunately.
Well, we should probably have a art of conversation episode as well.
Yeah. Social etiquette of chatting and
we
situations.
did actually cover that one in the what makes people attractive episode, but I think we could probably go into it deeper just on the conversation piece.
Yeah.
You know, why you shouldn't just talk about yourself constantly.
Yeah.
How to actually listen to people. Yeah. Okay, well, we haven't resolved my problem.
Well, a little bit we have. I like the fact that you had said, like, being in a relationships, like, more realistically to get into relationships is when you're sober. However, if you want to do, we don't like the word one night stand, but having the more casual situations, it seems to be more down the road of when you've got alcohol in you.
Yeah.
Meeting people who are willing to be that open-minded and do that, who are sober, it's not as easy to find.
Yeah.
Which is a bit of a shame, and I think that should change. Yeah. So where is everyone? Where are you guys?
And
who wants to see open
comment.
Yeah. Can you give us advice, because we don't really know?
Want to just have sex with me casually?
Yeah.
Just comment below.
Yeah. Just have a nice time and be really respectful.
But with no but with no alcohol.
Yeah. I think that's difficult to do in this country.
Yes. Well, I think it's difficult to do in most countries I've been.
Do you think so?
Certainly most countries I've lived in.
I don't know. In Spain, I was very much more open and sexual when I lived in Spain, and I didn't have much alcohol in me. It was a lot easier. Yeah, actually, you're meeting down the beach, you're already in your bikini, you're having a lovely time. You don't need to be drunk to do that.
Yeah, actually, I was chatting to a Brazilian friend of mine that said it's very much like that in Brazil as well.
Yeah.
It's just not as...
I think the sun's out. Everyone's used to having their skin out, like it's a different world. I think, warmer weather changes your kind of mental state there, I think.
Yeah. Well then, again, comment for which countries you think are slightly more better for doing that.
Yeah.
And I'll go there instead.
Yeah, let's just move, Dan.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, okay.
I don't have anything else on that. It's quite interesting though.
Should we go have a beer?
Yeah, let's go and have a beer. definitely we're going to have a beer now.
Sweet.
Right. See you all later.
Bye.